Okay, I think we're up.
Let's do it.
All right, welcome everybody to our live Facebook feed. I'm Stuart Anderson from the Crown Council with Steve Anderson from Crown Council and Total Patient Service Institute, and I've also got Blake Hadley with me from My Social Practice. So we're excited and grateful to be with you today for this webinar live event. Before we get started, we want to make sure that communication is working properly and that everybody can hear us and can see us. So if you're live with us now, will you make a comment over here on the right-hand side that says how it's going, or if you can hear us, if you can see us, thumbs up, your favorite emoji, I don't know. Just put something
how handsome Stuart looks.
Yeah, put something in there about the filter I have on my teeth. Look how white they look. So
Yeah.
put something over there so we know that maybe you're live, that you're on, and that you can hear us live. So we're going to get started right away here. And I invite you to ask questions. That's why we've chosen this format. So if you have questions or want to ask us anything, type it over in the comment section. We will work on answering the questions. I'll make sure to feed them to Blake and Steve throughout the broadcast, and we can get to hopefully all of them. And we'll do questions, comments at the end, and then hopefully wrap up when everybody's taken care of. So I'll turn the time over to Blake and Steve, and we'll go from there. Thanks, everybody.
Good deal. All right, so give you a little background and welcome everybody. I apologize. There was a little bit of a confusion about the time we were going to do this. And so glad everybody could be here, and we are on our way. So just a little background. Blake Hadley, who is one of the principals of My Social Practice. Everybody is familiar with My Social Practice as one of the leading social media marketing company in dentistry, as well as other medical related specialties. And they provide ongoing resources for practices to provide good social media interaction with their patients and their community. So Blake, thank you for all of your help in putting our broadcast today together. Blake's going to share some social media suggestions as we move into a new era and a little different time. So just quick background for those of you that may or may not be familiar with the Total Patient Service Institute. We have worked with dental practices for decades on the case acceptance, patient communication, patient service side of things. So on any given day, we are directly working with dozens of practices in that area, as well as our whole network of Crown Council practices. Many of you are part of the Crown Council, which is a network of practices across the country committed to creating a culture of success in their practice. And so we share resources along those lines. So there's a ton of information that is circulating right now, obviously. And so this just adds to the knowledge base. Here was my concern, and the reason we're doing this now is the information flow is rapid and it changes every day. And there's conflicting information. So for example, as you know, as of today, the American Dental Association came out with a recommendation that practices scale back to emergency-only visits. And then on the heels of that, several state associations came out with their own direction. My favorite was here in the state of Texas. The Texas Dental Association basically said each dentist can make the decision on their own what they're going to do, and we'll follow the state, the CDC, and local directives. So, a lot of different things going on. So we recognize that depending on where you are in the country today and what's going on in your part of the country is going to determine how you're operating as a practice. So please know that there is not one size that fits all in our discussion here. As things continue to change, what we've put together are some recommendations that we hope will help as things continue to change, so you keep good quality communication flowing to your patients that is appropriate. So with that, Blake, let's throw up the slides, and we've got some very specific recommendations today that we hope will be helpful to you as we move through this. So we titled this 7 patient communication mistakes. We're going to give you more than that, so get ready. Let's talk about mistake number 1. So first off, there are practices that have moved to a limited schedule and they're not answering the phone. So recommendation number 1 is absolutely keep regular hours if you can in terms of answering the phone. If you can't be in the office, if it's possible to forward your phone to someone on the team that can answer the phone, being available to converse with your patients would be ideal, especially right now when there's questions. So the theme of all of this, as you're going to see, is continuing that one-on-one relationship with your patients. They have individual concerns and questions, and you want to be in communication and contact with them and make it easy for them to communicate with you. So answer the phone. Keep regular business hours for your phone answering, regardless of what your schedule is and what you're doing. Make it easy for them to contact you and to talk with you or someone on the team directly. All right, next slide. Big mistake, and I'm going to plead with everyone on this because this is going on. Those of you that have attended our Total Patient Service Total Immersion course are very familiar with what we call trigger terms, limiting language. And there are words in our vocabulary that we use in practice, sometimes they're clinically related, that evoke a negative emotional response. And this word is being circulated all over the country in terms of, limited hours and the whole deal. I saw one yesterday where practice was going to post, their post, the leading line said, "We're closed." So let me just put this in perspective. If you are a retail business like the Apple Store or Abercrombie and Fitch or a number of the other retailers that have closed, it is very appropriate to broadcast this word, because if people are used to you being open and they travel a distance to just show up unannounced, you don't want to inconvenience them. Dentistry is not so much like that. Unless you have a high traffic retail type location where people just flood in off the street on a daily basis, which is not the case for most practices, then you don't want to broadcast the word closed. It makes it sound like you're out of business. So if you're having a modified schedule, you're not closed. One thing to keep in mind is that regardless of what's going on, as a dental practice, you have a fiduciary responsibility to be available to your patients and to take care of their needs, which means you got to stay in communication with them. So a big recommendation here is abolish the word closed from your verbal as well as your written vocabulary. Just don't use it. We'll give you some other suggestions of words that you can substitute, but that's being circulated. I would also be very, very cautious when you look at what other practices are doing around you. Be cautious that you don't fall victim to the law of the herd, which is another thing we talk about a lot in our Total Immersion course. Law of the herd is where you just follow the herd. You do what everybody else is doing. So give it some thought, go through it in a thoughtful way before you choose your words. This one needs to be stricken from the vocabulary from everybody on the team and anything in writing, anything that you say. All right, next mistake, number 3, is being too specific. Because the situation is changing so rapidly, what you may post today may change tomorrow. So our recommendation is that you be general in terms of giving guidance, and we'll give you some specific general suggestions here in just a minute. And let's show some examples of this. moving forward, which is, for example, posting all of your protocols on social media or website, or broadcasting it on Facebook to all of your patients, all the specific things you're doing can, and we'll talk about this in just a minute, can make your practice sound like a war zone, which that's not. You want to make sure that they know you're being responsible, and too much information is overload. So the general idea that your patients need to know is that you're here for them, that you will take care of them, and that you are in communication and you're easy to reach. Number 4, there's a term, obviously, that's being circulated a lot, is social distancing. And that word then can trigger some behaviors, consciously or subconsciously, that are not helpful for your practice. So instead of thinking distance, instead think about the relationship that you not only have with all of your patients, but with your specific patients. Dentistry is a relationship business. You have a relationship with each of your individual patients. Their individual situations will vary. There is not one size that fits all of your patients. So you want to communicate with them appropriately and take care of their individual situations and be conscious of that. So think of the patient relationships that you have on an individual basis. One message, sending out blast emails and sending out, posting things on Facebook and thinking that is going to address all of your patient concerns. It doesn't work that way. So we'll make some suggestions here on what you might consider doing. All right, next one, Blake. So here's some suggestions from a social media standpoint. Blake, maybe you can share with us your recommendation here.
Yeah, so this is a couple examples that we have seen some practices do really well when it comes to showing that they're available on social media. These two practices just got on Facebook Live, just like we're doing right now, and they answered questions from their patients. And anybody that wanted to comment, they would answer it right then and there. They would tell their patients how they could be reached. Whether it's by phone call. I know Dr. Weston Spencer there on the right, he actually talked about being able to do a virtual consult during this time and gave the information how to connect with him through a virtual type of consultation or a virtual appointment. So explain to your patients all the ways that you're available. Be available through direct messaging, on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. There's a lot of ways that they can contact you. Perfect.
Thanks for that, Blake.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 is what we call mistake is going wide instead of narrow. So this goes along with a little bit of what I shared before, is there is so much information flowing right now that, again, posting all of your protocols and step-by-step everything you're doing, at this point, because information's hitting people from so many different directions, our view is at this point, keep it simple and let your patients know you're there and available for them. If you think that all of the specific protocols or things that you're doing are necessary, there might be a good place to put that on your website. But blasting that out and doing mass emails and mass messages at this point, because of all the information going out, is not really helping everybody. When you think about it, let's say, for example, you have a patient base of 3,000 patients. How many of them are affected right now in terms of their dentistry? Well, it's really just really 2 groups: the ones that have a scheduled appointment coming up, and any patients that might have emergent needs, right? So all of your protocols and all that is not really something that they're going to have a whole lot of interest in unless they're going to have contact or have something coming up immediately. So help everybody out, narrow the information to really base what they need to know. Next.
I was just going to show a quick example of what Steve was referring to here, of maybe some of the posts we've seen that are not the right type of posts. You can see from these, they look very scary. They're kind of warnings, notice, the red, the stop, the don't come in, the, out of good intention, obviously, these were all posted, but as Steve talked about, just to do a blanket statement of everything that you should not be doing right now and you should not come in the office is not necessarily the way that you should treat this.
Excellent. Number 6, sharing the wrong message. So again, we talked about keeping it simple and direct. So here is a suggestion. And again, everybody has different circumstances depending on what your situation is today. We tried to keep this broad so that it would fit as many situations as possible. So if you're going to message something out, especially if there's questions, here would be the overall message that would be good to send. So as you know, your care and safety and the safety of our team is our top priority. As recommendations are changing rapidly regarding social distancing and congregating, if you have any questions regarding your dental care or have urgent concerns, please give us a call or send us a direct message. We're here for you, and we'll make sure that your needs are taken care of. Thanks for being our patient. Now, here's the idea behind this is, I get the whole coronavirus thing and I think everybody in America knows what's going on now. So it almost goes without saying, you don't even need to use that terminology anymore. It is communicating directly with your patients to let them know you are there for them and that you are going to take care of them. You're in relationship, you're open in terms of being able to communicate and talk with them. So the overall message here is, if you have needs or you have questions, please call us, which I think is what we want to do here. You want to be in connection. You want connectivity. You want everybody to be able to feel like they can call you and pick you up and talk to you. If you put closed on everything, you run the risk of losing patients. And basically you're sending the message, the subconscious message is, we're out. We've abandoned you. We're out of business, because that's just, people are moving so fast. So keep it warm. Keep it on track. Let them know that you are aware, taking the proper measures, and you're available to them. All right, next, Blake. All right, so Blake, share with us this, because this is a good social media related tip.
Yeah, so in addition to that suggested text, that caption that Steve just shared, and we'll share that with you. I've noticed a couple, just as a side note, there's some people commenting that the slides are a little bit blurry. We will have this available afterwards. It is recording, as well as if you would like this slide deck, we're happy to send it out to you. If you want to put in the comments that you'd like this slide deck, we'll send you a direct message and give you a link to where you can get this deck. So feel free to do that. So I was just going to share a little tip here. When you post your notice to your patients, there's an option in Facebook where you can click on Get Messages. And what that does is it adds a little bar to the bottom of your post that actually is a link for people to send you a direct message right then and there. So this is just a great way to post about this so that people could send you a message if they have any questions or concerns. It just shows that you're available. In addition to that, My Social Practice is providing everyone with some free downloads. So we have created some graphics that you can post along with that message that show you're available, that you love your patients, that you're optimistic. We've also created a graphic that has that text right inside of it. We've created a couple different colors that you could use. So if you would like these graphics, again, just put inside of the comment section that you would like to have download the link to download these graphics, and we'll include that as well. We'll send you a direct message and send you a link to how to get those.
Perfect.
Oh, one more thing. we'll also send you what we call a blog template. So for our clients, we provide blog templates. So if they want to create content for a little bit of long form type of content to post to their blog, we have written out some talking points. You'll see here, there's some areas in red where you can fill in your own information if you'd like, customize it to your practice. So we're providing this blog template as well to everybody who'd like to create a blog post. In addition to what Steve has said about keeping it really simple and direct, if you would like to explain just a little bit more about your stance on things, you might want to include a link to your blog, and this would be great content to throw up on your website.
Perfect. Thanks, Blake. Let me just address, we'll talk about the voice message here in just a minute. Catherine Wicker from 21st Century Dental, which is just down the street from us here, our neighbor, poses a really good question, is what's the best way to address hygiene appointments at this time if you're not going to do hygiene appointments for a while? So here would be my thought is best handled one-on-one if you can, right? So if you've got hygiene appointments coming up, number one, which has been overlooked in some cases, first thing you got to do is turn off your automatic reminders that are still going out in a lot of practices where you may have scaled back and forgot to turn off your automatic reminders that are going out to your patients about their appointment. So if you can, depending on the size of your practice, my recommendation would be call your hygiene patients. If you can, call them in advance and have a conversation with them. This is about relationships, right? So have a conversation with them, let them know the modifications that you've made for their protection, and that based on what your schedule is like, depending on where you are and all that, then that you'll let them know about their next appointment when things get back to a normal schedule. That would be my preference instead of just sending out a blast email or message or text to all of your scheduled hygiene patients and saying, something sterile like, we're closed and your hygiene appointment. So one-on-one, if you can. If that is not a possibility and you've got a lot going on and you don't have the manpower to do that, then a well-phrased personal message would be appropriate, similar to what we shared. That just says, your safety, your care is 100% is, our 100% concern. And we have moved to a modified schedule, and we'll be in touch about your next hygiene appointment, something along those lines that's personal, but not just a blanket, you don't have an appointment. So those would be some things to consider, but the more one-on-one you can do, the better. All right, next. This would be your phone message. So the wrong phone message. So this goes back to the we're closed idea. You're not closed. So here might be just a suggestion. In addition to the regular things that you might have on there, would be along the same lines of what we've already said, which is, again, you're going to be answering the phone during the day like you normally do. And then for your after hours message, or if you happen to be on the phone, just add your care and safety and the safety of our team is our top priority. As recommendations to change rapidly regarding social distancing and congregating, your dental care and urgent concerns are important to us, and we're here for you and want to make sure that your needs are taken care of. Please leave us a message and we will return your call right away. Thank you for calling. So again, we hope that's a balance between we're doing the right thing to keep everybody safe and we want to take care of you, and then you can deal with their specific situation. You want to stay in communication with people. I hope I'm making that clear. You want to be able to talk to your patients as much as possible. All right, next.
Hey, Steve, I see a comment by Christy Bolts I thought was really good, kind of pertained to that. She said, I've also heard some great communications recently saying, in the future, we're committed to offering additional appointments and hours to serve our patients. I think that's maybe a good thing that you could add to your messaging as well.
You bet. Good suggestion.
All right. The last point. So I know our title was 7 mistakes, so we've added one more mistake.
This is a bonus.
We saw one more mistake that many practices were doing, and that is not using social media. That is one of the biggest mistakes that you can make right now is going silent on social media. Even though you might be taking a break in your office, don't take a break from your social media. Social distancing, as we've talked about, it means more social media. What are people doing at home? And maybe part of the reason why this video is kind of blurry is everybody is on social media. Everybody is on the internet right now. It is the best time to be talking to your patients about building relationships and reaching out to potential patients and posting as much as you can, because people will see your content because that's where they are. Keep your patients updated as often as possible. This is a great example of a practice that it just keeps consistent updates, whether it's daily or every other day, just about what you're doing. And to Steve's point, things are changing so fast. To put one post up there a week ago and not post any updates is bad too. You want to keep people informed as things change. Show you're available by posting consistently. Not only is it good for the Facebook algorithm to post consistently, if you take a break for a while, Facebook, that's bad for your algorithm, because Facebook, it shows that you're not being consistent and providing valuable content to your followers. But it also shows that if you post consistently, it shows that you're available. So a lot of times when I'll go to a Facebook page and I'm about to send them a message, I'll look when their last post was made. And if it was a post made sometime, 3 months ago, I know that if I send them a direct message, there's a good chance that I probably won't get a direct message back. But if you consistently post and show you're there, people will more likely reach out to you. And even if that means if you're not in the office, there's a good chance you're probably not taking photos of your team members. But even if it's just posting graphics to your page, talking to them about what they're doing while they're home, just building relationships in different ways. Graphics are still good to post at this time while people are on social media. And in addition to the graphics that I showed you a little bit earlier, my social practice is providing you, as part of those downloads, just some fun, kind of optimistic graphics that you can post to your social media accounts. Some of the questions are, what's on your social distancing reading list? Drop a happy song in the comments. Comment with your favorite way to work at home. We can stop spread coronavirus by working together. So very optimistic, kind of happy posts. You can see the colors are optimistic. And so we want to provide this for you. If you want to, in the comment section, again, if you haven't put already that you'd like these downloads, just say that you'd like them and we'll send you a direct message with that link. And then last, I kind of touched on this a little bit, but there is so much negativity and so many kind of scary things that are being posted on social media right now. And like Steve said, people have seen enough of that. This is your opportunity to be optimistic and smile in your posts and show your followers that we're going to get through this, that everything's going to be okay, that you're happy, you're going to be back to normal soon. We've seen some posts here of office members just showing that they're cleaning the office and different things that they're doing to try to prevent the spread of this. But just be optimistic and smile and let's have a good attitude about this. We'll all get through it.
So, Blake, let me add a couple of comments here at the end just that are timely, because again, this is going to change over the coming days. And here's really the philosophy behind all of this. There are two extremes on this issue right now today. One extreme is that we're seeing from practices, we're closed, we're protecting everybody, so we've talked about that. Don't use the word closed. In some areas of the country, I saw an email yesterday from a practice that in the subject line that said, "We're open for business," right? So two extremes, right? And that's in the same market. So again, depending on where you are in the country, what I would suggest for your consideration is there are a lot of different opinions on what's going on right now. A lot of people who are very, very concerned about the infectious nature of what's going on. And then there are others that are in denial about what's going on. And that's, people everywhere. So the recommendation here is two things. One, you're available and you're taking care of your patients and you are in communication with them and you're doing the right thing to be a responsible practice and take care of the safety of everybody involved. So that's the general message, those two things. You're doing the right thing and you're in relationship with your patients, keeping the middle road as things change. We'll get through this. And you want to retain your patients, and it'll be something you can talk about for years because you want those patient relationships for many, many years to come. So those are just some suggestions to stay in relationship with them as we move through this. Again, things will change, but hopefully those are some things that you'll be able to use in the days and the weeks that come. Contact information. If you want to throw that back up again, Blake, if you will. So if you have questions for any of us, those of you that are part of the Crown Council, a ton of resources, of course, at crowncouncil.org. Stuart can help you with that at stuart@crowncouncil.com. Of course, all of the resources that you just heard about from My Social Practice are available for download. Blake will include that link. And our teams at Total Patient Service and of course, the Crown Council are always available. My email address is right there if you have specific questions. Hope this has been helpful today as you craft your messaging today and moving forward. And that if you've made some of these mistakes already, it's okay. You can go back and make some corrective things to your written as well as your verbal communication with your patients so that you stay in relationship with them and create, as we say in the Crown Council, a culture of success and take care of your patients in a total patient service manner.
Hey, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Steve, one question. There's two questions that I thought we could bring up real quick. We've got a couple questions about practices that are located where mandatory shutdowns are happening. Any suggestions where they're only seeing emergency patients and they're told thoughts on that?
Yeah. So again, I'd go back to that base message that we talked about. Again, you want to help people understand you're doing the right thing, you're being a responsible citizen, and you're there for them. So we think that message is appropriate to say, if you have questions, please pick up the phone and call us. We are here. We're communicating, and we will do what we need to do to take care of you because you have that responsibility. So if they have urgent needs, you are legally responsible to take care of them. So you need to let them know we're here, we're in communication, pick up the phone and call us. We're here for you. I think that's the overall message. So if you take that base message that we recommended, if you feel like you need to modify it some, and say we are observing all of the the locally mandated social distancing and congregating, things that are in effect now, and we're here for you. Just again, I've said this probably too many times. You're not closed. Please don't use that word. You're being observant and you're doing the right thing and you're there for your patients.
Very good. Great. Hey, well,
we're gonna. My social practice is going to include the link. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, now you can hear me. Okay. My social practice is going to include the link to the digital downloads and the blog template inside of this stream. My team just told me, so they should be putting that link up soon. But if you would like the deck, this deck that we just went through, still please send us a comment and we'll send that to you directly.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you, Blake. Stu, thanks for pulling all this
you.
together, and thanks everybody for joining us today. More to come as we walk through this together. We're all in this together. So interesting times and a lot of great lessons that we're learning here as we go. So thanks for joining us today. More to come.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.